So, welcome to the Soul-Led Revolution with me, your host, Yolandi Boshoff. And today I'm very excited to introduce you to Renae Peterson. She's an international teen girl empowerment coach, and she is the founder of the Beautiful Inside Academy. So, welcome, Renae. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Yolandi, for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you. It's always lovely to be in your presence. So thank you. I always say I think the most important thing about me is that I'm a mom. So I have a daughter that will be 27 in January and another daughter that will be 25, and they're outstanding humans. And so I love being a mom, and my work and my love for teenagers spills over from my own daughters into the teenagers, just because I have that mommy heart, and I love partnering with moms. So that's probably one of the most important things about me. I have a bachelor's degree in nursing. I'm a certified coach. Like, I have tons of qualifications, but I think, and you can read that on my website, but honestly, the most important thing about me is that I care about our daughters, and that I care about empowering our teen young women, who I believe are the, future leaders of tomorrow, even though they may not recognize it yet. So.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is always interesting because this is one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on today, is that we live in this world where coaching is so, it's so prominent, and we always, as grown-ups, we're looking for coaches and we're wanting to be in that space of like being helped to work through stuff, etc. But I mean, for me, the whole concept of a teen girl coach is something completely new that I obviously I've not like really experienced or like delved into myself. So like what is it that a teen girl coach, what do you do? Like, how do you help these young women? Because I'm with you on the future of the world and all of that. And so yeah, how do you help?
Well, I think let's, like, even going back to what you said, right? I mean, yeah, there's thousands of women programs, get your power back, take your power back, heal your inner child, heal this, heal that, right? And then, so they are unraveling everything that they took in during those adolescent years or further back. And so instead of like waking up and finding confidence when you're 40 and having to go through all the hard things to get there, it's just like, I want to raise the bar, I'm calling it, on how they can show up for themselves now. And so really empowering them at a younger age with those truths that I wish that I had known. Or when you look at like the whole, the red tent theory, right? Back in the biblical days, where the women from generations would get together in the tent and pour into and impart the wisdom to the younger generation. Well, I don't really see that happening today. And so just my greatest wounding and my greatest pain point was in those adolescent years. And I know for me, if I'd been given information about how to navigate my inner world, about how to show up empowered, like, I wouldn't have had to go through so many of the hard things. So, we toss around the word codependency, and people are like, oh, that's like a word from the 80s. No, it's like in full force today. I mean, codependency is just anywhere where you place your power outside of yourself. And so we're in the 21st century, but you look at these adolescent teens and they're still operating under the umbrella of like, oh, well, I need to be liked, and so I'm going to keep my voice quiet. It's just like, if I'm seen invisible, yeah, I'll be heard, but I won't be loved. And so, really empowering them to how to step into that sense of self and to own their worth and own their power, so that they can show up in those ways and not make some of the mistakes or have to go through some of the stuff that we as women had to learn the hard way. So it's a process that I have articulated and worked at for over 16 years. And it just really works, guiding him, step by step, week by week, to really just get those inner tools, those inner strategies, that inner mindset, that inner sense of self to go, okay, I get that, right? I can do that. It's like waking them up at a younger age, right?
Yes, exactly. And I love that, because I'm like thinking, like, I spent most of my 30s going through all my shit, and I'm like, oh my God, it was such hard work. And if I was just like, if someone had just said to me when I was like 15 years old, hey, Yolandi, guess what? You don't have to take this on, or you don't have to show up like this. But, it's just like, it's incredible that those resources are out there. And, Yeah, 16 years of coaching. I mean, that's like an immensely long time. So just like your methodology, like in terms of like guiding these girls through it, like what do you feel is like the most important thing for them to start focusing on? You know, so if someone's going, oh yeah, I'm quite interested in this, like what would you tell them? What's the thing that their daughter can start with?
Investing in having a relationship with herself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? That her relationship with herself should be the number one relationship. That as a mom, even just guiding her daughter, well, what do you think? What is you know, how do you feel about it? It's like helping her get in touch with that higher self, that deeper self, because we know at that time that adolescents are really looking outside themselves anyways for identity and connection and right, which all of those things are good. But if we can have them do it in a way that they're plugged into self and going, is that person good for me? Okay, what does that feel like? Like one of my analogies is like life is a dance floor. It's like, oh, how close do I want to dance to that person? You know, I don't have to be rude to that person, but I can still be, you know, kind because they can be out here on the dance floor and not really close to me, you know, doing the cha-cha or, you know, whatever, the waltz or something. You know, and so just really having them tune into that inner self, that where they can feel that intuition and feel that, okay, this is what's good for me, right? And to have that
Yeah.
quiet time, that daily, you know, people are so scared of the word spiritual today, but
Yeah.
really it just means connecting to your spirit of yourself,
Yes.
you know? And so how do we get them to do that and have that quiet time to hear themselves and to not have everything be so external so that they can start to understand, you know, internal validation versus external worth.
Oh, I love that. And it, I mean,
Mhm.
and these are like the literally like the foundations that we are needing to set up in our kids. And I just, you know, like even as a parent myself, I always feel a bit like you're floundering because you know this stuff for yourself, right? And like it's just like to get someone else to kind of bring that clarity because I'm always like quite intrigued by the concept of teachers and coaches like being that mirror and as well like just assisting there. So like how in your experience with the moms and stuff, like the stuff that you help with the kids, like how does it affect the moms? Like what happens with them when their daughters step into their power in these like
Yeah.
situations?
Well, I love that because I think in order, pardon me, for a mom has to know, how do I want to put this? It's so tricky. I think for a mom that comes and works with me, she has to already value that sense of inner work, right? She has to have been on her journey or doing some of that work already, or it's going to be too intimidating because we know that our daughters are our mirrors. And so if they're stepping into their power and we are not, you know, we don't have to 100% be in ours, but if we're stepping in ours, then there's going to be a lot of ego and do you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
it's not going to work well. So the moms that value empowerment, that are already working on their own journey, and then these girls are learning that, I think a lot of times the moms are like, okay, well, tell me what you learned this week.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that's so good. And they grow too. Like I hear my mom
Yes.
say, I learned a lot, I grew too, because then they'll talk about it and create this dialogue. And at the beginning too, I encourage the moms, sorry, to be vulnerable with the daughters.
Yes.
It's in the vulnerability that creates the bond, right?
Oh,
And so when they talk about the discussions that we've discussed that week, and then the mom will go, yeah, like this is so important because when I was your age, I didn't value myself, or this is what showed up for me, or do you
yeah.
know what I mean? And just creating that way to go, let's do this together. And then in the academy, I do have a night just for moms where
Oh,
I, you
nice.
know, yeah, talk to them and just empower them on how to, you know, work with their daughter in everything that they're learning. And then we have like mother-daughter nights as well. And so just
Lovely.
really fostering that bond and creating, you know, some of those, deepening that relationship. And I think the other point that I want to say is that, you know, I think it takes a village to raise a child. And I always tell the girls and the moms, your mom must really love you to put you in front of someone like me, because she gets that she wants you to understand this stuff. And we know that they need to hear a different voice, right?
Mm.
They need to hear it from someone else. They know that we're supposed to love them. They know that, oh yay, we're cheering them on, this or that, but in their brains it's like, well, mom, she's just supposed to say that. And so then the most beautiful part that I love is that once they've worked with me, and when they have a mom that's doing personal work and that's, already a great mom, it's just then they think their mom's even more amazing, and it widens the lens,
Yeah.
right? Because it allows them to have a more mature relationship with their daughter. But not only that, it just allows them to go, wow, mom's right. Like, mom's onto some of this. And it allows them to feel safer to come talk to you and value your opinion because they have leaned in and heard it from someone else, another strong, powerful woman. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
love that because it kind of like it changes their perspective, because so often you find the teenagers go, oh, my mom doesn't know what she's
Oh,
talking about. Like,
totally. Yeah, 100%. And that's normal, right? And I think
yeah.
if we recognize that, and like I had my one mom from Australia, she's like, "You're my agent," she says. She calls me her agent. And like, I'm calling my agent, right? And I love that, like, because it's so cute, because it's so true. It's just like, we know when we need to call someone in and just have that kind of support. And it doesn't lessen our role as a mom, or anything like that. It's just,
Yeah.
once again, takes that village. And yeah.
Yeah, and it strengthens that relationship between the mother and the daughter as well, which I absolutely love. So
For
now,
sure.
and like this work also, because I'm just thinking about the wider impact of like girls showing up in this energy in school and stuff. So maybe like just give us some insight about like what you've seen firsthand about like how things change for them in their outer world once they start like really reconnecting with the inner world.
I love this. Well, everything, and helping the girls understand that too. It's like to invest in their consciousness, right? And so to have them invest in their mindset and understanding that everything that they're feeling and thinking on the inside is out picturing externally, so
Yeah.
that they get to take 100% responsibility for how they're showing up in the world. And so then when they show up and somebody's mean to them or somebody says something, they have enough self-worth, they're grounded enough in themselves that they are able to navigate that with way more confidence and grace. Right? Hence, I believe stopping, all this bullying, because the bullying really starts within each one of us and then is out pictured out. And the projection among teenagers during that adolescent time, that's why it's such a painful time, is because they don't really have a clue who they are or how to handle all these big feelings, these big emotions. And so then they take it out on other people. And so when you really, and when I empower them to go, okay, kiddo, like, let's look at this, sweetheart, and really understand yourself. So that when this is happening, you don't have to act or react in those ways. And then there in and of itself gives you confidence because you have more self-respect. So it's just beautiful when they take responsibility. And it's almost, one girl I remember, she said, "This is magical," right? And I was just like, "Oh, you're so cute, kiddo." Because it's the magic we create within when we have those changes of perception, or we think about things differently. We're going to show up differently and then experience things differently. So when they know that they have that much power on the inside, like, it becomes limitless for them, and it becomes fun. It
Yeah.
becomes fun.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
become leaders because they know how to lead themselves. And so then the domino effect, right? A lot of the girls will be like, they'll say to me, "Oh, my friends are like, oh, you're changed. What are you doing? You're more confident." Or, it's just like, so it's really precious. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And that's exactly what we want, right? Like when these empowered like young people walk out into the world, I mean, this the like you say, the domino effect, the ripple effect of them actually showing up in the world at that young age, already going, I know who I am. Like, we don't have to go through all of this like bullshit that we have to go through in our 20s and our 30s and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. So just so what do you think like the biggest fears are that the teenagers carry within themselves? Like where, like those things, like what is it that drives them there? Like that fear that they carry.
Like the fear in general of a teenager, or the fear to not want to do the work, or what?
Well, like for me, it's like there's this like what I see, and I mean, I'm just speaking now from what I see around me, but this like fitting in, this like I'm needing to be this person. Like, where does that come from? Like, where in your experience, what have you like? Because like, what is it that we all like at that teenage age, like literally is in that space where like, oh, I don't want to be judged. I don't, all that fear that we carry. So for me, that's like kind of like always intriguing.
Well, I think it boils down to, and I mean, it's back to kind of what I even said at the beginning. It's to be loved, to be accepted, to fit in. Right? We
Yeah,
all have that basic human need.
yeah,
And so they will compromise and do whatever it is to meet that need because
yeah,
it's primal, it's biology, right? But when you can step in and go, okay, give them a level of emotional intelligence to navigate their biology,
yeah,
it's incredible, right? To go, okay, the only person you need to love is you. The only person that you need to fit into is what your values reflect. Or do you know what I mean? And then they can show up in those situations and not compromise. And so you're right, it's so foundational because let's look at women today who are still trying to fit in, who are bending, who are contorting, you know what I mean? Who are trying to be or fit into places or with things or with people, right? It's just like they're looking at their life and going, oh, blaming this person and blaming this person and blaming this person. But where really we should be asking the question, but why am I putting up with it?
yeah,
They're
yeah,
just being who they're being, like, but why am I tolerating it? And so just really helping them understand some of those spiritual concepts at such a young age,
yes.
that yeah, it just changes the whole trajectory of their life.
And I just find it really interesting because I mean, if you look at just there's been so much in the news about like this bullying culture and all of that, and we obviously take that into adulthood, but all of that starts in high school. And it's just like if we can actually start doing this whole bit about like educating, and like you say, it all comes right from the how much do I love myself? If I don't love me, I'm gonna chuck it out there and like just let everyone have it. But I'm always intrigued by the fact that there's not more emphasis on this in schools, in like our education systems, and like in all of it. So where do you think the problem lies? Like why is no one picking up on the fact that this is so freaking important and that we can stop big things like these bullying like episodes just through things
I
like
think
this?
because I think it takes a healer to heal to heal.
Hmm.
Right. And I think a lot of times in schools, I mean, people are overwhelmed as well with all the stuff they have to teach, education wise, that it's also exhausting. And like it is my gift. It does take a special person to sit in that space with an adolescent. It's certainly one of my gifts to
Hmm.
really be able to speak to their heart and have them hear you and have them understand these things. And so I think it takes a lot of energy. I think it takes, a gift. I think it takes, personal awareness. I mean, teenagers, this is why I love working with them. They are so smart.
Yeah.
They know who the real deal is and who it isn't. Just like when that student teacher comes in the room, and they're like, oh, yay, we get a day off to mess with this person, right? They know. And so it takes somebody else to have completely been in their power and who have worked through the things themselves for them to even listen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
So that's an interesting one because it is all about like who are we basically using or looking at to lead these people. Oh
yeah,
man.
if you
And
can't
yeah.
yourself, and if you haven't done the healed work, because I
Mm,
mean, there can be teachers that can just like start up a little program and say whatever, but
mm,
they're gonna know.
yeah.
That's why
Wow.
they get results
Yeah.
because and the longevity of 16 years. I mean, I guess tooting my own horn a little bit, I guess, but it is like it's just like it's the inside of it is solid. So
And no, and I mean, I just like I'm laughing now because I think about my own kid and I like watch him and I'm like, dude, you're busy manipulating me, and I am like a completely, in my opinion, I'm quite wise and I can watch
yes,
him.
you are.
He
Yeah.
won't do that to dad, but he's gonna do it to mom. And I'm like, dude, seriously. So I think there's definitely that like that point there, right? Where you just like you have to, yeah, you've got the boss energy going there to go, listen, this is how we're gonna be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so tell us a little bit more about your academy, how it works. I know that you are running one at the moment, but just give us a little bit more insight in case someone maybe wants to, sign up for the next one that's coming up, if they can't
Sure.
make this one.
Yeah, well, my next one starts February 9th, actually. So I'm not starting for a few more weeks. So it runs for 14 weeks. And yeah, you can go to my website at beautifulinsideacademy.com. It has all the information. But yeah, part of it's moms, girls. They each get an hour of private coaching with me during that, 14 weeks within the group program. I also offer private coaching as well. So if it isn't quite a fit for them to be in a group. And yeah, it's just powerful work. It's
Okay.
incredible. Yeah, it's I don't even know what more to say other than the website says a lot.
Yeah.
The group coaching, the girls get the benefit of being around other, like-minded girls who want to grow, who are sick of the drama, and who, really just want to tune into like, okay, it's time for who am I and how do I want to show up in the world, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Sure.
And then with the one-on-one coaching, because I loved what you said about like obviously in the academy you have the mom and me time, and then the moms also have some time and stuff. So when you do the private coaching, do you also like include the moms in that?
Yeah.
Like, how does that
Yeah,
work?
I have a 30-minute session that I do with the mom or dad, whatever. And if they need me more in between, I'm available for that too. So when they private coach with me, the beautiful thing about that is that they meet with me once a week over Zoom. The schedule is more flexible. Like, I mean, I work with people in Australia and then I'm in Alberta, Canada. So then, right, we're just adjusting time zones. So we
Yeah.
make that work. And then if they need me in between, in a way, say something happens, or they're like, oh, this happened at school, or I don't know how to process this, and they're spiraling, then they can message me through whatever means we determine, and then get on a call and just help them get back in that inner alignment. So part of the gift of that, as well as it trains their nervous system and their brain to go, okay, I've got this. Okay, I
Yeah.
know how to handle this, right? So that they can start getting in those internal rhythms to be like, okay, I'm okay.
Yes, I love that. And that's like that real nurtured space, right? So that for me is always so important because, yeah, there's like, as we know as adults, there are those moments where you just spiral and then that's just
Yes,
like,
we
I think it just, I love the whole concept of being able to start this at such a young age because, heck, I mean, if I could take the 10 years of like trying like to find myself and like if I could reverse, imagine where you could be by the time you're 40 if you start early, right? It blows my mind.
100%. Yeah, and it's not like we sit around and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, right? I mean, this is like deep work that women are doing years later. And they're smart, they get it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
and I think the thing I hear parents say, oh, my daughter's fine, or she's fine. And it's just like, okay, she maybe externally looks fine, but you have no idea what's going on in her head.
yeah,
And what
yeah,
is going on in her head and what she is telling herself is the greatest indicator for what her life will reflect. And so
yeah,
really teaching them, because a lot of those high achieving girls, the ones that are perfectionists, the ones that look like they have it all together, I mean, they're a lot of in that proving energy,
yeah,
right? Or it's just like, because they're so highly skilled and then they get so overwhelmed and then they just melt down, where
yeah.
it's just like, if they can really understand how to manage their mind and how to get into inspired action rather than proving energy and do. I mean, how many of us as women do that?
Yes, exactly. And that's literally like how we show up in the world, most of us. So,
Go,
yeah,
go, go, right? And it's highly favored for a time, but it doesn't work. They reach a point where that just doesn't work anymore, right? And
yes,
then why do we have depression and burnout and mental
yeah,
illness? And like, do you know what I mean? Those are just the outcomes of not understanding self at a younger age, right? I mean, failed relationships. I mean,
yeah,
relationships and love are the number one places in our life that cause us the most pain. And so, yeah, like if your daughter's fine or good, don't you want her to be great? Like, don't we
mm,
want that for her? Right. So,
yeah,
this is the information that can get her there.
yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful.
So,
And it's just like, yeah, it's like sending them into battle with like all of the equipment that they need because
yeah.
this world is like a scary place when you're that young and it's just like, oh, I love that. So,
One of
oh,
my sayings is like, I teach them to be the queen of their hearts. So it's just like, okay, how do you be that queen, right? Do you
yeah,
bow to lies and the limiting beliefs? Like, suit up for the battle, honey. Like, let's go. This is your life. This is your queendom. This is you
Yeah.
know. So anyways, I could go on and on.
I love it. Like I've just got this beautiful image of going like, it's all mine. It's like my universe, and I'm just gonna step into it.
It's totally true, right? My friend and I were giggling yesterday. I'm like, sometimes people say, oh, Renae, you're in your own little bubble. And I'm like, yes, but I get to create it.
Exactly, and that's exactly
Right?
what we should be teaching our kids. This is your bubble. Go
Totally.
crazy.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I
So
absolutely love that. Okay, fantastic. So, is there any like last things you want to share with us just about your work? Anything else you want to say before we have to unfortunately wrap it up today?
well, I just want to say that I'm creating a movement, and my mission is to truly get this work out into the world. And so, my word for 2022 is divine expansion. And so, I guess just anybody listening, if you know another podcast, another person, like something that can just help me get this message out there, because I think, like I said on my website, the time is now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think COVID and our world has showed us that our kids don't know how to cope with big emotions, with all those things on the inside. And so it's just like, let's do this, right?
Mm.
Like, let's do this, and just know that I love our daughters. Like, I love
Yeah.
those. So
Oh, and I just, I love the energy in which you work because that real sincere heart energy. Like I know we've worked together, and I'm just like always in awe of how it feels, and like that real integrity that I see within you, like just how passionate you are about what you do. So I just want to say thank you, and because I just like this stuff is important, and it's time that we start taking our kids serious and give them a platform to basically create a
yes.
beautiful new world for all of us, basically going forward.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. Mic drop right there. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
So
you for having me. I always love this, and I love talking about this stuff.
exactly, and that's why I wanted to speak to you because I'm like, this shit's important. Like we have to tell the
Yes,
world.
it is. Like, as much as I want to wake the girls up, to their potential, the possibility, it's like parents need to wake up too.
Yeah.
Like, that we need to wake up, that this is what is important. It's like, yes, the dance classes and the sports, that is important, but for them to thrive, and for them to excel, and for them to feel the beauty of all of that they are when they dance, or to the mindset when they miss the ball, this is the foundation work that's going to even have them enjoy those sports, to show up in that external world even more powerfully, and more importantly, joyfully.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
because that's the one thing. And for me, like 2022 is about like us learning to go back into joy. So I really feel the energy of this year is like for
Yeah.
us to find our bliss, to find our joy, all of that. And if we can help our kids to also navigate life in that energy, then that
Yeah.
would be awesome. Oh,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
thank you so much. And see, we can just keep on
I
talking. I'm like,
know.
I need to
That's
stop the recording.
thank you so much. All right.
Awesome.
So many
Okay,
blessings.
great. So, guys, if you want to get hold of Renae, we're going to put her website details underneath. So it is beautifulinsideacademy.com. So you
Mhm.
can find out all the information there. There's more information about the academy that's running, and there's more information about the one-to-one sessions as well that you can book. So go and have a looky there. And yeah, and like Renae said, if you know anyone else who is into starting to speak about teenagers and how they show up in the world, Renae is your person. Okay, fabulous. So thank you, Renae. I
Hey,
really
so much love.
awesome. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much and have a beautiful day.